Bumble dropped the women-first messaging rule that had defined the app since its 2014 launch, and now either person can message first after a match. The company is making the change as paying users have fallen 16.4%, and tests showed more conversations when the rule was relaxed. Reuters angle. A company whose entire identity was built around one rule has entered the turnaround phase where it removes the rule. Satire. Optional. Bumble has announced a bold new dating feature called Either Person Can Talk. Source: Reuters. NVIDIA is reportedly developing Nemotron 4 with at least 1 trillion parameters as it tries to compete with the world's leading open AI models. Reuters angle. We have officially crossed from numbers people can understand into numbers that exist mainly to intimidate other AI companies. Satire. Optional. The new model has 1 trillion parameters, including at least 6 devoted to figuring out what a parameter is. Source: Reuters, citing the information. AI startup River AI raised $1.1 billion to build tools that let companies create customized AI models, while its CEO said AI should be open, freely available, and affordable. Reuters angle. Freely available and affordable has apparently reached the venture capital stage, requiring $1.1 billion to achieve. Satire. Optional. The road to affordable AI begins with a modest billion-dollar starter kit. Source: Reuters. AI startup Manus is becoming independent again after Meta's $2 billion-plus acquisition was ordered unwound by Chinese regulators. Some user data will also be deleted during the separation. Reuters angle. Meta spent more than $2 billion buying a company that is now being separated back out of Meta. This is practically the textbook version of institution paying to undo its own work. Satire. Optional. Silicon Valley has introduced a new M&A category, acquisition, but backwards. Source: Reuters. Alpha Compute is buying Pennsylvania land and 1,800 acres of natural gas rights for $55 million because AI data centers are increasingly securing their own power sources rather than waiting for electric grid connections. The proposed campus could eventually generate 1 gigawatt of power. Reuters angle. AI has become so power-hungry that technology companies are skipping the utility company and purchasing the fuel supply themselves. Satire. Optional. The cloud has progressed to the point where it now needs its own gas field. Source: Reuters. U.S. small business sentiment rose to an 11-month high while 36% of owners said they had jobs they could not fill, the highest share since June 2025. 27% called labor availability their biggest problem, more than double the historical average. Reuters angle. Businesses are feeling much better about hiring at precisely the moment they're increasingly unable to find people to hire. Satire. Optional. Small business optimism is surging, especially about all the employees they currently cannot locate. Source: Reuters/NFIB. Boeing delivered 53 jets in July, 5 more than a year earlier, but 17% fewer than the 64 delivered in June, while Airbus delivered 67. Reuters angle. The same month can be presented as both deliveries improved and deliveries fell sharply, depending entirely on which calendar page you hold up. Satire. Optional. Boeing deliveries are up, unless you compare them with last month, in which case please return to the first sentence. Source: Reuters. Researchers found dogs can distinguish specific emotions in human faces, with brain scans showing different activity patterns for fear, anger and sadness, and reward-related activity when dogs viewed happy strangers. Reuters angle. This hits the animals outperforming humans lane beautifully. Dogs can apparently recognize that you're angry before half the people in a workplace meeting do. Satire. Optional. Dogs have now demonstrated emotional recognition skills that qualify them for middle management. Source: Reuters. University of Vienna. iScience. In the tank Bumble, Manus Meta, Alpha Compute buying its own gas, and dogs reading human emotions. Bumble is probably the cleanest mainstream joke because the factual setup is almost self-contained. Dating app built around women messaging, first stops requiring women to message first. Reuters' AP oddities did surface the Red Sox somehow scoring on a sacrifice fly without the runner tagging up, leaving pretty much everyone confused. AP News, local, suburban Chicago was thin this afternoon, beyond straightforward storm coverage and crime. So I didn't force a weak local item just to satisfy the quota. The Daily Herald's current feed was dominated by severe weather, community events, and a private identity theft case. Daily Herald added to used log, Bumble reverses women first rule, NVIDIA 1T parameter Nematron, River AI $1.1 billion raise, Meta was Manus $2 billion unwind, Alpha Compute buys gas rights for AI, small business optimism as labor shortage, Boeing July deliveries comparison, dogs distinguish human emotions. Flags. For Bumble, target the company's strategy and brand reversal rather than dating behavior by private users or gender stereotypes. For Manus Meta, stick to the acquisition, regulatory unwind, and corporate mechanics. Don't speculate about China beyond the documented regulatory action. For small businesses, don't make unemployed workers or immigrants the punchline. The institutional angle is the contradiction between stronger hiring intentions and worsening labor availability. Reuters. For dogs, the joke should remain animals demonstrating human-style competence, not anything involving abuse, pet owners, or health. phaknews satire scan, Tuesday, August 11, 2026. Log checked. No repeats from the 8/10 brief. Hit 1. Richmond, Virginia's city auditor found the city paid $5.6 million in invoices twice. When auditors flagged 3 of the duplicates and finance staff voided them, the system automatically reissued the same payments the same day, because invoices cannot be canceled once the purchase order is closed. Angle. The city didn't overrule its own accounting system. It asked, and the system said no. The story is a municipality discovering it has a subordinate it cannot fire. Source: Wavy. Richmond office of the city auditor. 2. Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell told Snopes that claims of U.S. munition shortages are false. In the same period, the Defense Department pressed contractors to massively increase missile production, signed new deals with Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, and acknowledged the munitions stockpile remains at least 38% smaller than before the Iran war. Parnell's statement, August 8, Al Jazeera, August 9. Angle. 2 institutional documents from the same building, same week, one denying the shortage and one procuring against it. The paper trail is already assembled. The joke is just putting them side by side. Source: Snopes, Al Jazeera, ABC News, Fox News. 3. Anthropic pledged to cover consumer electricity price increases caused by its data centers, and to pay 100% of required grid upgrades. The announcement named no sites, no gigawatts, no timeline, and no dollar figure, and did not specify energy sources or transmission arrangements. Angle. A promise to pay a bill whose amount, recipient, and due date are all unspecified. The interesting territory is what that document would look like as an actual invoice. Source: Fast Company, NBC News, ENE News, Data Center Dynamics. 4. A Staten Island judge ordered an emergency pause on NYC Mayor Mamdani's pied-à-terre tax after 3 homeowners said the city had wrongly flagged their primary residences as second homes. The city then filed a motion to appeal, which stays the pause, and said it will continue implementing the tax. Angle. The mechanism by which filing paperwork about a pause cancels the pause. Also live. A tax defined by where you actually live, administered by an office that decided where you actually live. Source: CNN, NY State of Politics, Democracy Now! 5. Researchers implanted 16 captive black bears with wireless brainwave devices, collected more than 3,500 days of continuous recordings, and trained an AI to score the sleep stages. The study, published in PLOS One, confirmed that bears sleep about twice as much in winter as in summer. Angle: the findings stated straight next to the apparatus required to reach it. Worth noting, the researchers are not the target. The funding and publication machine that requires this much instrumentation to certify a thing is. Source: PLOS One via study finds. Bioengineer 6. Moody's warned that banks deploying AI for credit decisions, fraud detection, and claims processing are concentrating operational risk in a small group of cloud and AI vendors, so that a single outage could hit many institutions at once. Guardian, August 9th. Angle: risk management purchased at scale becomes the risk. The rating agency is describing the shape of the next event in the present tense. Source: The Guardian. Moody's 7. Federal Reserve Chair. Kevin Warsh is pushing to use AI to analyze economic conditions faster, on the grounds that official government statistics arrive weeks after the activity they measure and are frequently revised afterward. Angle: the central bank is buying software to route around the federal statistics it also relies on. The angle is the procurement document that has to explain why. Source: Axios. 8. South Australia opened a royal commission into artificial intelligence. In New South Wales, the Deputy Premier separately proposed ending unsupervised take-home assessments because AI has made it impossible to tell who did the homework. Angle: the highest investigative instrument a Westminster government possesses, and a homework policy, arriving on the same news cycle for the same reason. Source: The Guardian. 9. The national average for regular gasoline stands at $4.01 a gallon, up $1.29 in 4 weeks, with WTI at $82.47 and EIA still forecasting a 5% rise in residential electricity prices for 2026. Angle: $1.29 in 4 weeks is a number with no explanatory press conference attached to it. The gap between the size of the move and the size of the official comment is the story. Source: 24/7 Wall St. EIA. Short-term energy outlook. 10. Average asking rent in San Francisco has risen 18% in under 2 years to $3,728 a month, passing New York City, driven by AI sector compensation. The same industry whose data centers are drawing bipartisan local opposition over residential electricity bills. Angle: one industry, two bills, two very different rooms in which they get discussed. The zoning board and the leasing office are describing the same money. Source: Wall Street Journal, CoStar, Business Insider.